It's the evolution of money. You guys have changed the game again.
They now have to keep printing or we crash.
We've got this ticking time bomb.
Talking gold with the one and only Andrew Maguire.
Welcome to Live from the Vault.
Hi there, my name is Shane Moran, and I'll be your host for this episode of Live from the Vault. And welcome to the show that goes beyond the headlines and uncovers the truth about the precious metals industry and the effects on the global economy in these historic times. We have exclusive access to experts and insiders, and we reveal information and insights that you simply won't find anywhere else. Now, this week, we have the one and only Andrew Maguire, precious metals expert and whistleblower in the vault. And to help him pull back the curtain, we'll be joined by the one and only Robert Kiyosaki by popular demand from you, our Live from the Vault community. Thank you very much. So Robert Kiyosaki of The Rich Dad Company is in the vault. That's right. And you're not going to want to miss a word of this conversation that's upcoming here. Just before we introduce our featured guest and head over to the UK, please help us spread the word about this channel by hitting that like button. It really does help the channel by sharing this information and also by subscribing if you haven't already done so. And click on the bell if you want to be notified as each episode goes live. So let me tell you, for the very few that have not met Robert Kiyosaki, he is an American businessman. He's an entrepreneur, author, known for the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series of personal finance books. If you haven't read that book, read it. He is the founder of the Rich Dad Company, a private financial education company that provides personal finance and business education to people through his books and videos. So in full disclosure here, I'm a huge fan, as many of you are, and I've purchased all of his books, the entire series, including his coaching program, which was absolutely extraordinary. And on a personal note, I've been looking so much forward to these two industry titans having a conversation. As it turns out, Robert Kiyosaki was the person who alerted me that physical silver was the most undervalued asset in the world by far. And Andrew Maguire was the person who showed me exactly where to get it, closest to spot price, closest to wholesale possible. And again, in the past 10 years, I've been looking all over the world, and I've actually challenged people to find me where I can buy physical gold, physical silver for closer to spot price, for closer to wholesale than what Andrew showed me. And guess what? It's not possible in 10 years. So thank you very much to both of you. I'll be forever grateful to Robert Kiyosaki and Andrew Maguire. And with that, let's head over to the UK and talking gold with the one and only Andrew Maguire and our special guest, Robert Kiyosaki. Over to you, Andy.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Shane. Robert, there's nothing in my mind that can say anything other than I see you as the leader in providing education. And we're also seeking to do this ourselves, but this is why it's an incredible privilege for you to have you join us for your second visit here on Live from the Vault. I want to thank you for joining us today. But Robert, you were so far ahead of the curve in encouraging people to swap their rapidly debasing dollars, pounds, euros, whatever it is. And those that took your advice would have massively protected their wealth, as I did when silver was $5 and gold was $250.
Right.
And I bless you, but is it too late, my friend?
Oh, absolutely not. We're just getting started. Andrew, the thing I love about your program is because, as you know, on YouTube, there's a lot of fakes, con men, and charlatans. And so I love it that you have the temerity and the tenacity to hold out there and keep speaking, because like you and I have been saying this stuff for years. I just don't trust the dollar. I don't trust my government. I don't trust the Fed, and I don't trust Wall Street. And with that, it's a lot easier to live. Then you have to get smarter. But I like what Michael Saylor talks about, people who save fiat or fake money. What do you call poor? What do you call people who save fiat money? Poor. And that's what's happening. They're actually saving a currency that declines in value, and inflation keeps eating it away. So those taxes and inflation, and these people keep saving money. It's like some kind of religion to them. And money's been fake since 71, or with Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And in '64, when they took the silver out of silver, and so they're violating all the laws of money, yet people can't see it. That's what's really sad. So I love what you're doing, Eddie.
Well, I mean, you were actually you served your country in 1971. You were in serving as a pilot in Vietnam, I understand, and this is exactly the time when we saw the attempt to protect dollar hegemony. Nixon took dollar and off the gold standard, and so this is rare. You were there at this exact time. I mean, and so many of the people that we have that subscribe to us, this is a different time, and it's rare to have somebody who can speak from that time. And this, you identified the Fed recently as a criminal organization, and that will not surprise our regulars. But this episode is going to touch thousands of people. So can you kind of explain how the Fed scam works? That would be perfect.
Well, I'm a very simple man. You know, they call it printing money. I learned about money playing Monopoly. And my rich dad, who was my best friend's father, I was like 10 years old. He says, you want to get rid of this stuff as fast as you can and get to hard assets. And my rich dad was into buying buildings. So he had lots of real estate. He owned lots of land. He was a hard asset guy. Whereas poor dad, being an academic type, PhD from Stanford, Northwestern University, they for some reason like paper. And, you know, he'd hold up his diploma to me with his PhD. And I said to my father, poor dad, I said, you know what PhD stands for? Poor, helpless, and desperate. He did not like that. But if you know something, they just can't hear you. That's what we're talking about. We can talk about gold and silver till the cows come in. But if a person's attracted to fake money, it's hard to break the habit.
I mean, Robert, you've pretty much front run almost everybody out there calling for a higher silver price. I know that silver is something that you really do have focused on. And I mean, I heard you when it was $5, and I sit up and take note of your assessment that it will be $500 of debased dollars to purchase. Putting it that way, it's not that silver will go up; it'll cost $500 debased dollars to purchase a single ounce of silver. And right now, silver costs just 1.2% of the price of gold. This seems ludicrous to me. Please tell us what your thoughts are for those people considering entering into the silver market.
Well, it's called Gresham's Law. And Gresham's Law states that when bad money enters a system, good money goes into hiding. So in 1964, I was like 18 years old or 17 years old, growing up in Hawaii. And I got a quarter, US quarter, and it was copper. And I went, oh my God, there's something wrong with the money. So naturally, I show my mom and dad, who are poor people. They're good people, academics though. And I said, no, just full faith and confidence in the U.S. government. I said, there's something wrong. Why is my quarter, or my 50-cent piece, or my dime, why is it copper? And so at that point, I used to hitchhike to go play. Grew up in Hawaii. I'd hitchhike to the country club. I'd caddy, 2 rounds of golf. I get $4, $1 per 9 holes. Got a lot of exercise in. And I'd come back and I'd take those $4 down to the bank, and I would exchange it for rolls of dimes, quarters, and half dollars. And I'd sit there and yank out all the copper ones and give it back to the bank. That was Gresham's Law in action. I just knew something was wrong. Intuition kicked in. So I saved this whole bag, you guys call it dirty silver or something like that, or I don't know what you guys call it, but I had this whole bag full of real silver coins. I leave Hawaii, I go to school in New York, and I came back for Christmas vacation. And I asked my mom, I said, where's that bag of silver? She goes, oh, I spent it.
Oh, no.
I went. And that's when so I agree with Michael Saylor. Poor people don't know what money is. My mom and dad had no idea real money from fake money. You see, they hung on to paper, again, their college degree or my mother was a nurse, her nursing certificate. I have friends who hang on to the real estate licenses, but they own no real estate. So people have been conditioned and programmed to take paper instead of the real stuff, which violates Gresham's law. So I started in 1964, just saving silver, and I love silver. As you guys know, it's used as an industrial metal. As Andy Schechtman talks about it, 14 pounds of silver are on the guidance system of every Tomahawk missile. So every time they push that button, silver disappears forever. So silver is a consumable, whereas gold is not.
Yeah. So to me, I'm taking note here about this. You told me at $5 and I bought. Now you're telling me at $500. I think I should put some more of my weighting of gold into silver, because I'm wondering if it's pretty much going to being so undervalued. Probably as you've said before, the most undervalued commodity on this planet of Earth. Then perhaps that's something that people should consider perhaps doing if you've got some gold. I'm not saying to take money you need for elsewhere, but if you've got gold investments and you're looking at, which may perform in the short term, or when I say short term, I'm talking about the next few years, better, then I'm taking note, because you were right when it was $5. And I think you're going to be right when you say $500.
Yeah. I love silver, but again, it goes back to the thing is that poor people don't know that there's real money and fake money. And I think that is a tragedy. So that's why we're talking about, before I came on this time, how much we're like the Rodney Dangerfield of investing. We get no respect. But as you know, gold has outperformed the S&P since 2000. And but most people are in paper. They're into ETFs and what do you guys call those things? But they'd rather have the derivative of the real estate rather than the real estate. I own the real estate. Nobody touches my real estate. I own the gold mine. Nobody touches that. But I just don't trust the counterparty, who's the third party in there. And that's what gold and silver have over, the dollar or the euro or the yen or the peso. The counterparty risk is the government. And that's why when I saw the silver certificate on the dollar bill, then pretty soon they went from "in God we trust" to "we trust in the Federal Reserve note." If you trust the Federal Reserve, oh my God, they're the biggest bunch of criminals I've ever seen. Now, they make me rich because when they bail out the banks, they bail out guys like me. But they don't bail out the poor middle class, as you know.
Absolutely. And I think while we're talking about silver here, what was interesting is, as you know, we face the wholesale markets on an institutional level. And what was really strange to me, Robert, was, and the first time ever, about 2 months ago, I started getting calls from refiners like Heraeus, Valcambi. Have you got any silver that we can have? Hang on, I come to you for silver. You're coming to me for silver, and I think we found 30 tons somewhere. And I wish I'd known, because we wouldn't have sent it to them. But they had over 2,000 tons of orders from Chinese and Indian customers, literally racing into silver. Now, here's the odd thing, Robert, is that while we have no wholesale silver, and the refiners and the LBMA CME cartel, who don't want to see the price. I mean, their derivatives would blow them out of the smithereens if the price went too high too quickly. So what they were doing was obviously capping this price and refusing to deliver for wholesale bars to the refiners, refusing. Now, in a regulated marketplace, well, you couldn't do that without raising huge alarm. But it didn't escape the Chinese and the Indian buyers who knew that, well, this silver's in London, it's available, but they won't sell it to us. So it means it's underpriced. So, but the odd thing is, in the meantime, the retail price of silver was going down. There was nobody, people were dumping their retail. So as you say, perhaps people of the poor mindset, and also perhaps it is people desperate because they have so much inflation. Maybe they're having to sell their good assets. I presumably there's that mix as well. But to me, I think that's why I think your $500 price is almost conservative.
Yeah, it's shocking what's going on. But if you notice, you said India and China, they're part of the BRICS, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And they're coming after the dollar. They've had it with our games as a reserve currency. They're after us. So that's why, and people, I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. When I talk about the bricks, they think about those bricks behind you, the red brick. Or they think it's a brick of marijuana or something. But they don't know that Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa are coming after us. They're tired of it. They're tired of us bullying them around. So this is not a time to be complacent, regardless of what you do. It's not a time to be complacent.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. That makes so. In fact, it's cringeworthy watching some of this unfold. And I think the average American probably owns enough gold that maybe on a ring, we're talking about almost nothing in real in sort of scope of it. And yet I always bring up this. I conjure up in my mind, because I've been there. An Indian farmer cycling down a dusty road has kilos of gold from dowries, and it's accumulated and it's built. And when gold is revalued, or rather, when the dollar is won't buy you any gold, essentially, what are the flip of power? The flip of power when someone like that is so wealthy, they could literally buy up anything they wanted to. It makes the Americans so vulnerable because a gold price revaluation has to be coming when you weigh it against the dollars or pounds or euros. And it's inevitable. And especially when we see, as you said, China's not going away. Why have they accumulated this much gold? Why are they assisting Russia in backing a commodity currency that's backed by gold? What happens when because the lion's share of oil, for example, and energy is either bought or consumed by the BRICS members and the people so when they decide, well, okay, there's actually enough liquidity to fund this oil purchasing, what does that do to when you're not on that platform? If you are the US and you've now got to buy oil in dollars, well, it could be $200. It could be $300. Russia seems to think it'll be $300. But what would that do? Robert, what would that do? The derivative, the multi-quadrillion probably amount of derivatives, who knows? Surely that the too big to fail banks that are directly attributable to this derivative, these massive derivative bets, surely oil going up to $200 or $300, surely it would implode the system, would it not?
You're right on it. That's why, Jim Rickards wrote that book, Currency Wars.
Yeah.
And so he studied warfare and all this. And the reason I tell the story about Vietnam and the demilitarized zone in Quang Tri, and I flew behind enemy lines to buy gold, stuff like this. But the average person has no idea what BRICS stands for. BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. I think that's 2/3 of the world's population, something like that. They're coming after us. And I don't know if you know it, but 9 African nations, there was coups in them. Nobody tells, they're fighting harder. So that's why I said when I was in the ready room of my aircraft carrier, and we got our asses handed to us by the NVA, North Vietnamese Army. That's when I asked the question. I said, how come their Vietnamese fight harder than ours? Because they want to win more than we do. So this guy Deng, from China, he set it up. Chinese are more capitalist than we are today. You think about it. So they're fighting us with, it's a currency war also, gold. That's what's happening.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because back in just before the BIS NSFR standards reallocated gold as a first-year asset class, and that was on the 1st of January 2023. But interestingly, the Bank of International Settlements squared up. Historically, they've had 500, 700 tons of swaps out there. They still, at the beginning of 2022, they had over 500 tons of gold swaps and derivatives and leases out there. By November of 2022, just before we moved into the BIS standards, they cleared every single ounce of those. They bought them all back. And so what it's telling us is that the average, that while it's almost like there's a split between the Fed and the East and the West, the Fed and the West, because the Fed is still fighting the price of gold. The BIS has cleared its derivative bets. Most European banks are roughly perhaps 4% versus GDP backs their currencies. The Fed is the only central bank right now that is actually fighting the price, the price rise, or rather the dollar depreciation against gold. And yet, I don't know if you're agreeing with us here, but there's empirical evidence to suggest the 8,133 tons of treasury gold that the Fed manages is grossly rehypothecated. For example, Germany asked for 300 tons, but it was going to take 7 years at some point. I mean, good God, if any one of your vaulting providers said to you, Robert, you want to withdraw a ton of gold? Can we do that in 7 years from now? You would be there with your lawyers, probably with an AKA rifle or whatever you'd be packing, but I'm not leaving until I take my gold out that back door. So I think that this is a huge problem for the Fed, because I think they have rehypothecated that gold. They're in a position where they're unable to buy it back because the price keeps rising, and China, Russia, BRICS keep buying gold. Central banks are buying it while the ETFs are dumping it. So, and it's mystified the mainstream analysts who are just so paper centric. Well, how come gold's going up? It must be central bank buying, I guess. No shit, Sherlock.
Well, that's what Rickards wrote the book Currency Wars. So most people think of warfare as kinetic. Like I fought with rockets and machine guns and all this stuff. But there's a bigger battle with money. And that's the real battle there, is that who can crush the other guy's currency. And that's why the BRICS, when I was about 10 years ago, I think when I first heard about, I do a lot of work in South Africa, which I love South Africa. And I remember hearing about the BRICS. I'm going, trying to put the pieces together, because nobody in America hadn't really heard of the BRICS. Like I said, when I talk to most Americans about the BRICS, they think it's that red brick behind over your shoulder now. And Americans are so highly educated but stupid. It just amazes me. It just amazes me. And I'll say it one more time because it's probably the most powerful statement there is. As Michael Saylor says, what do you call a person who saves fiat currency or fake money? Poor. And that's why I tell the story of my mother taking my bag of coins of dirty silver, and she spent it. And if I could leave your listener or your viewers on this thing with one thought, difference between rich people and poor people is that poor people don't know what money is. Pure and simple. They're happy to get their $20 working at a McDonald's and 50% taken by taxes, and then they can't afford to eat. So, our wealth is stolen via our money. our dollars, the peso, the yen, the euro. And most people don't know that because our school system teaches us nothing about money. So what you're doing, Andrew, is educating people. It's fantastic. So can I ask you a question on kinesis?
Yes, please.
Tell me about it, because one lesson. Could you explain hypothecation and rehypothecation so people understand it? It's one of the most important, it's one of those things where you look at the word, it sounds important.
I know. And I sometimes try and find a simpler way of using it, but it's just a word that I think, so institutional guys will understand that, you will, but yes, to explain that to an ordinary person, it means that I have this gold bar in my hand, which owes nobody anything because all the energy that was ever created and all of time to make it is there now. So it owes nothing to anyone, has no counterparty risk. If I then say, well, hang on, let me lend it to you and you and you and you, because I don't think you'll ever want it back in physical form. So what I've done now is just taken, and it's 100 to 1 for the most part, I've taken 100 of those fake assets underpinned by one single bar. And now everyone's running around with paper gold. And in simple terms, it's rehypothecation. It's what brought Lehman Brothers down when they did it with stocks. You can do it with anything. You could do it if I leased a car and sold it and lent it out to or sold it to other people. That would be rehypothecation.
Yeah. See, when I talk to the average person, they can't get past rehypothecate. They don't understand how can somebody sell the same goal to 100 people? I call that theft, but they call it hypothecation.
Yes.
And as you know, most economists aren't the brightest guys on earth. It's called the Fed. It's 478 economists. But when you hang on to the dollar, they're stealing your money. It's the only reason the Fed creates dollars is to steal your wealth. So our wealth is stolen via our money. That's what happens in 71. I was like 25 years old, 26 years old, going, oh, there it is again. Nixon took the dollar out of the back of a dollar, gold out of a dollar. And it's still going on today. People are still working hard for money, saving money, and buying paper stuff like stocks, bonds, ETFs they know nothing about. And their wealth is being stolen because there's no financial education in our schools, period.
Yeah, ETFs are an illusion. It's an illusionary investment. And again, it's the same. How do you know? I mean, ETFs, you can legitimately, in gold or silver ETFs, you can legitimately short sell them. Well, give your head a shake. I mean, that means more than one person's owning my silver. I mean, so if everyone suddenly asks for their silver back, well, clearly it's short sold. So now you're on relying on the counterparty risk of who people you don't even know. You've never seen their balance sheet. How would you know? So what is interesting, though, one tiny, Robert, a little bit of light. We always look for a little bit of light, please. So the efforts, there has been an effort to, we're a massive supporter of the sound money movement and have a close relationship with them. So, for example, Nebraska has just become the 12th state to end income taxes on gold. And so, but more importantly, all of these sound money adopters declare that central bank digital currencies are not lawful money. Hey, they must have read your book. Can you just give me some thoughts on that? Because I know that's what you have been shouting that from the rooftops.
Well, it goes back again. Being in Vietnam, I was 25, 26 years old, and I woke up, which brings up something else, Andrew. I forget who it is, but one of these big financial advisors. And he talks to everybody. He says, if you're going to be an investor, don't take advice from anybody under 45. He says, because they don't know anything. Like you and I have been through the ups and the downs and the con jobs and all that stuff going on. But the average financial planner, they actually think their stuff is safe and all this. I sit there going, you got to be kidding me. So I'll just keep this thought in your head. How come their Vietnamese or how come their communists fight harder than us? Because they want to win more. They're tired of being poor. And so they want our hard assets. Like, China wanted the land. Vietnam wanted the land. So the average person's been sold a bill of goods to know that your dollar is safe, good as gold in the bank. It's not. So every dollar you have in your hand, there's 7 more of them someplace, or 10 more of them someplace else. And they keep saving it. It made no sense to me. So anyway, that's kind of my whole, thing in a nutshell. So let's get back to Kinesis, because what you're talking about here is gold-backed currency, or money, should I say. So would you explain Kinesis to me?
What we've done is put real world assets and real world solutions on the trustless blockchain. Blockchain rails are immutable. And so obviously it opens up trust, and anything that utilizes that technology can be trusted. But the one thing is, obviously gold, look to you. Gold has been a fungible means of exchange for 5,000-6,000 years. And by putting allocated vaulted gold on the blockchain, it can once again become real money. And I think the one thing I always say, though, people say, oh, yeah, but how? But can I get it back? And that's the one thing I would always ask people to ask. Can I redeem it in physical form whenever I want? To me, I wouldn't be involved in anything that we were doing that didn't allow immediate physical delivery of the assets that sit not on our balance sheet. These are clients' assets sitting on the trust blockchain rails. And I think this is what the sound money movement is ultimately. These states are going to have to. You can't run around with a coin in your hand. So these states will have to put gold on the trustless blockchain, so that people can pick up a wallet, pick up a phone, and pay for stuff and in gold, and not be exposed to fiat dollars. And every time they earn money, put it straight into you, and you're not going to get taxed on it. But to me, this is a light that is shining, and I always like to think of the positives, Robert. And I've read your books. Good God, I think your books have been read more than the Bible. So obviously I was weaned on them. And really that's what you've been saying for as many years as I can actually remember.
So Kinesis is actually gold-backed money.
It is gold, literally digitized on the blockchain rails. Yes, it is. And it enables one to buy, basically pay for a Starbucks coffee, buy a Learjet if you want. Essentially, and anything that, and what we do is we put we show the pool, and obviously there's, as with any financial system, there's always fees attached, but they're fully transparent. And what we do is then return a portion of those fees back to, and so we create a community basically. And there's a social side to this too. And I think this is important because, for example, when we integrate into a mine, we then can track with, obviously somebody comes out the bush, they've got a phone. They can see the price of gold. Why are they going to accept half that price from some broker when they can, hang on, we have a facility through Kinesis where we can see the price, we can refine this through their refineries, and we can view right the way through to the retail side of things. So essentially what we've done is disintermediate this incredible high friction system. And that's what we're trying to do here, because then you can afford the drugs, the water, the things that you need to have respect, to be a human being, when the brokers used to take it all away. So, there's a social side to this, and we're actually creating a documentary and we want, Robert, we were going to ask you, please be a part of this documentary because your story is so important. It's key to it runs through as a thread all the way through this story.
If I can appear alongside of you, count me the honor. The most important word today, which is crushed, is trust. Who do you trust?
Yes.
And I don't trust my government. I don't trust my money. So today, more and more people are seeking people who can trust. So that's what I'll say to all you young people listening is that don't listen to somebody under 40 giving you advice because they haven't been beaten up enough yet. And we've been beaten up forever, because I save gold and silver. I don't save dollars. That's why you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Savers are losers. And that's what Michael Saylor is saying. What do you call somebody who saves fiat currency? Poor. And the poor people are scrambling their butts off. I think McDonald's is paying $20 an hour now. It's taxed at a high, they move into a higher tax bracket. And then they put the money in their bank and it loses to inflation. So it's taxation and inflation. The average guy doesn't have a prayer. They're just so like my mom and dad, good people, hardworking, highly educated, poor people. But the world's filled with it. So that's why when I read about Kinesis, I was very excited about it because I'd like to move. We think, the definition of intelligence is if you think like me, you're intelligent. So I had a friend stand on stage one day. Of course, he's an attorney. Attorneys aren't the brightest guys on earth. They may know the law, but they don't know anything about money. So I was at this big conference. And this attorney stands up there and he says, yes, I save gold and silver and I keep it at my house. And my friend nudges me and says, can we have your address?
Yes.
The reason I'm interested in Kinesis is because the weak link is storage, as you know.
Yeah. And again, there are clients, for example, that we have who are old school and really old school. And they say, I want to see my bar. I want to visit my bar. I want to make sure that bar number is there. And I want to go whenever I want to come and see it. I'll come and see it. No problem. But on the other side of things, they're saying, but I need to spend money and I don't want to. So if I spend a couple of €100,000 a year, whatever it might be, Swiss francs or whatever it might be. So I'll put that into Kinesis. And then I'll get a bit of a yield on that because I'm sharing in the fee pool. I'm adding velocity to the system. And yet I've got the option. And then they turn around and say, well, why am I paying storage on the other bullion that's sitting there when if I can redeem it anytime I want, I don't need to pay a storage fee and I can bring it to you and you'll pay me a yield for providing velocity to the system? Absolutely. And this is where we're going. There'll come a point where you don't need to spend. You don't need to pay to store gold. Why would you do that? Why would you depreciate? Why it's like an ETF, they take a bit all the time. No, you collectively have a wholesome system which is transparent, where you enter it with your eyes open. You see where every transaction, you see where you're going. It's on the blockchain. You can view it anytime you want. And that's why I think it's so important. But I think what you have done so much, Robert, is, and it's part of all of our collective efforts to provide education, right, and services to better enable people to take personal responsibility. That's a big thing with you. You've always said people must take responsibility for themselves. And given us the globalist controlled mainstream media seeks to make us dependent on their nanny state derivatives, it requires a balance of factual information that enables us to all make better choices for ourselves and our families, and to live by example and to positively even affect our communities. And I thank you for that. I thank you so much for that, Robert.
Well, it's my honor. By the way, I flunked out of high school because I can't write. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad has now been Rich Dad, Poor Dad is 25 years, according to Publishers Weekly. 25 years, the #1 book in personal finance.
Incredible.
It's just amazing. And all I did was keep it simple. Anyways, what was I going to go with this? So this Kinesis, let's say I have, for lack of $1 million in gold, and I keep my gold in the same spot that you do, Liechtenstein, or something of it. But I keep it away from my house, not like my attorney who tells everybody where not my attorney, but the attorney. It's all stored at my house. And somebody, give me your address, So it's stored in Liechtenstein. Is there a minimum and all that a person can participate with this?
Not at all. I mean, some people, and this is it. We, for example, a lot of our Indonesian clients use Kinesis because when they're sending money home from Saudi and they use MoneyGram, they take a massive percentage of what they are sending back. And really 0.045% is boom, it's over there. And it's instantly in their family's hands. Everyone has a cell phone in Indonesia. You may be on a remote island, but you instantly can move money around. So, and I think, so it can be a gram, or it can be, we have people that come into the system to mint, tons, and looking to actually, or certainly moving to, you've got various stakeholders. You've got people that want to just store their gold and not pay a fee on it, and also get a bit of a yield from the system on it. You've got people who who will actually want to trade it against silver, against Bitcoin, against other currencies. But it's in your vault. You can do what you want with it. You can execute it on your platform in real time, 24/7. It's there. It just creates another venue for people to become their own central bank, to become independent, to be able to manage their own affairs without somebody telling them what they must do. And I think that's, again, one of the things that really attracted me. But to answer your question, in the gold is held amongst, what we did was initially, ABX was formed. I walked out of the DOJ with them ringing in my ears. What they said was, but Andrew, what about the economic consequences? We'd shown them evidence where everything all the way up line to Jamie Dimon were rigging the prices. And they said, yeah, great, but what about the economic consequences? So I walked out and I met, it was fate. Within 2 weeks, I met Tom Codlin, who basically was forming an institutional grade exchange called the Allocated Bullion Exchange. So institutional grade, disintermediating prices around the world. What happened was we were able to create a physical price around the world, not a price in Turkey that was different to a price in Istanbul or whatever. So in order to do that, we had to build these exchanges, and self-arbitraging. You've then got one single price for physical gold. How can you possibly put it on the blockchain to buy a coffee unless it is an aggregated physical price? So that's what we did. There's about 15 vaults that we control, or that we have. And basically, so if some people want to have their bullion in Liechtenstein, Singapore, various jurisdictions, but essentially, because it's fungible, if I want to redeem it here in London, it's fungible. So please give me my bullion. Obviously, if I've put my coins, that my valued coins and physical bars that I'm attached to, if I put them in as an allocated investment, again, I pay you a yield on it. We pay you a yield on it, but those will have to sit in a vault that we know we can send them to you easily. But other than that, if you just invest, you've got $1 million in gold and you want to redeem a few bars in New York, done. I mean, it creates, and it's all about redemption. It has to be redeemable, and everything else makes no sense unless it's redeemable. Is it on the blockchain rails? Yes or no? Is it on your balance sheet? No. Is it you can take repossession of it? Yes, you can. So no rehypothecation there.
So let me get this straight. So if I want to buy, let's say $1,000 to keep the math simple. So
yes,
you guys
indeed. take KYC. It's just normal KYC process. Driver's license. Hop on, free platform to get on. It opens you up a the actual, what we call the KMS, where you can see all the prices of every currency in real time, Bitcoin, and how it interacts, gold, silver, our spreads, because we're wholesale, the spreads for silver are fractionally tight, are tighter than anywhere else. The spreads for gold are tight. It's all about liquidity, velocity. And this is what we're doing. We're now building velocity. And we've been around for, Kinesis was born of ABX. It couldn't have existed without ABX for the reasons I gave. But 6 years in, we're starting to now build the velocity. And it's the velocity that is going to actually pay people to have their gold in the system, because you're really providing velocity into what is a solution.
Well, it's like right now, I have to pay for the storage of my gold and silver. So it costs me money.
Yes.
So let's say I go to Kinesis and I write you a check for $1,000. I can buy the gold from you without buying from the coin dealer?
Yes. So basically, you would fund your account. So quick KYC process should be processed very quickly. Then once you've got the system up and running, obviously it has to come from a bank. Fiat has to come from a bank, comes into our system, and it becomes KAU, which is essentially KAU is gold. So KAU is gold, KAG is silver. What it is just exactly the amount the exact amount that you deposited. So if you got $1,000 deposited in gold or silver, that is, there's transaction fees when you're trading in and around it, but essentially there it is. It's your gold. It's your gold. You can sell it, buy it, do anything you want with it, redeem it anytime.
Okay, so this is what I understand. So let's say I give you $1,000. I have $1,000 account with you, and I have a credit card from Kinesis.
A debit card from Kinesis you can actually use. I mean, I basically put it on my phone. It's so much easier. And I go and pay for stuff. It's on my watch as well, essentially. So yeah, I mean, I just walk around. Everything I pay for, food, groceries, everything is paid in gold. I just say, I've just paid you in gold. They go, what? Yeah, I just paid you in gold. But all my money that I come into the system I turn into gold anyway. So I like to get out. I don't want any fiat in my account at any point. So, or there's minimum amount of fiat in my account at any point. So I'd rather, sometimes I put more in silver, sometimes I put more in gold, but I'm also getting yields. So I'm enjoying the fact that they're paying me gold and silver every month.
So Andy, you go with this thing here, the credit card, and you pay. It's like I'm at Safeway buying food. The clerk doesn't know any different.
No, they don't.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's going to
it is incredible.
Every gold dealer is going to hate you. I mean, gold dealers will say, "Well, why should I go to a gold dealer when I can go directly to Kinesis?"
Yeah, exactly. Why would you? Yeah, why would you? Why would you need that friction? You don't need an intercessor, basically. So basically, you have direct control. Once you've funded it, whatever the amount is, it's yours. You do what you wish with it. You spend it, save it, or whatever you want. Pay a relative with it. Send it as a Christmas present. It can be, you can do it you can even email it to someone. So we have all these systems in place, but that function thoroughly. And yes, we have debit cards as well. Physical cards are coming soon. Right now, mostly are virtual, but all the physical cards are coming soon as well. So yeah, it's just that it is really a game changer as far as I'm concerned. And obviously, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to bring gold and silver to the people, everyday people. And then when you've got Indonesians, literally millions of Indonesian people now have the ability to access gold because their government allows us to do it. And we're the only company that is actually sanctioned, and it's Sharia compliant. So there's 100 million members of NU, an organization which is just about to come on board. signed off as Sharia compliant. And even if these guys only have an ounce or two each, think of the amount of physical gold is suddenly going to add velocity into our system. And this is where we're going. So this is the next leg of our journey. And it's a referral system as well. And if somebody refers someone, well, they also get a yield from the person they've referred. It's not multi-level marketing. It's just thank you for referring someone. And so, and that is their client for life, and so on and so forth. So it is. I mean, I could go on for hours about it because simply I'm so passionate about it because it is providing a solution. And it's not just about making money. This is about wealth protection. And if anything, that's the one thing I get first and foremost from you, Robert. It's not about making money. It's about wealth protection and getting as much of my fiat dollars into digital gold, digital silver that I can manage, and I can use that, and I'm not exposed to fiat, or I'm minimizing my exposure to fiat. Then to me, it's just a no-brainer to me.
Well, that's why when I was reading what you sent me to read, to me, it's not just money, it's the evolution of money. You know, I mean, if you know, my study for some reason has always been money. And back in the old days when they were driving, you know, donkeys and camels and horses, if you wanted to save your gold, you put it in a bank. And you put the gold there, they give you a receipt for it. And that receipt, you know, let's say 1,000 years ago, and then you travel to a faraway country and you show them the receipt, another bank or another gold holder would honor it. So that's why now you can use one of these things here, and the gold is in storage. I own it. It's allocated to me, right? It's my gold.
Yes, it is your gold. It never sits on the balance sheet of Kinesis. We act as a bailee, essentially.
That's brilliant. It's the evolution of money. You guys have changed the game again. Do you know what I mean? You can call it a game changer.
It has, and it is.
It's a game changer on a mega scale. I mean, it's amazing. You took an agrarian age product, gold and silver, and brought it into the information age,
and created a yield on an asset that is being considered to be something you dig out of the ground and bury again.
Well, that's what I feel like I'm doing, because I don't save dollars. You know, my formula from Rich Dad was I use debt to buy stuff, and then I depreciate the debt and do all those games with taxes. But that always left me with a lot of cash, and I don't like cash. So that's why I put in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, savers or losers. And so that's why I was basically a chipmunk hiding gold and silver. And the problem is it got to be so big, it's an expense now to hold it. And I don't plan on spending it. I have no need to spend it. But it's a safe place to keep my money. But now when you guys add the credit card to it with blockchain technology, it is the evolution of money you're talking about. You know, it's really monumental.
It certainly is.
It's monumental. It's life-changing.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you can actually be a market maker. In other words, you can bring in a ton of gold or half a ton of gold or whatever it might be. A size you need to have some good size to make a market. And then you can literally create a market, and you can be part of the liquidity pool that keeps those spreads so tight. And I think this is where we're going. It is disintermediating all of the friction from the guy who brings it out of the ground all the way to the guy who buys a coin. Or you can buy physical coins and bars from us as well. But I think for the most part, what this is about is digitizing your gold, putting it on the blockchain and using it every day of your life. And this is what this is about. And it's, as you say, it is fantastic.
So what do professional gold dealers, like I buy a lot of gold from different dealers, like Andy Sheckman, you know, he's a good guy, good friend of mine.
He's a great guy.
Is this going to put them out of business, or?
Well, I think there's always be people that want to have physical gold or silver from their dealer. And Andy Sheckman is he's such a good guy. I mean, he's honorable, and he keeps tight spreads and all the rest of it. And I had him on my show, I think last week. He's a really good guy, and those kind of dealers. And he also brings education with every bar he sells. People get to know what he's talking about, and they're very important. He's very important. He's got a good handle on everything, and so no, we won't. We're kind of fellow travelers in a way, because it is evolving, and there'll be a point where, and we're already integrating with some of these guys. Why would they store their gold and pay a vaulting fee for it? So we're on the same side. We create partner agreements with the likes of dealers. So we're all on the same page. We're literally on the same side of the table. And they have their clients, we have our clients, and our clients are sometimes the same clients.
And so for a guy like Andy, or I also buy from a guy named Jim Clark, and do they get a referral fee for putting them into your account and all this? I mean, do you incentivize the gold dealer?
Yeah.
That's pretty much win-win-win.
Yeah. If you absolutely, if you were to introduce one of those guys, then of course there's a referral, absolutely a referral fee. And it's all disclosed clearly. It's all done on a percentage of the pool basis. So essentially, you always know you're going to get 15% of the pool for holding it. You get X percent for trading it. So it's all there listed, and you can see the pool. And there it is. There's the pool. So it's fully transparent. Nothing's hidden from anyone. And of course, blockchain rails. Well. And we trade on it transacts on the Stellar blockchain. So very trusted. It's really a system which works. So yeah, I would encourage people that to look at it, because probably they don't know. I mean, we haven't advertised, and we're going one step at a time. People are, by osmosis, they're coming to us. And because once you realize you don't have to pay a storage fee, and that you can redeem it, and you're sure of that, and your lawyers have looked at it, and yes, it is so, then why would you pay to store and or even trade it for that money? And again, so if you were to buy $1,000 worth, the spread would be very tight, very, very tight indeed, because there you'd see it yourself, and you could say, click, I'm buying that now. And there it would be in your account instantly. So you could have US dollars in your account now, pounds, euros in your account now. And literally, I want that price now. There's the bid-ask spread. I'll hit that price. And there it is, instantly in your account. Now you can start spending that at the grocery store. Instantly. There's no lag. Within a second.
So I have about 10 million in gold in Liechtenstein.
Yeah.
Can I move it to you guys?
Yeah, of course you can. Absolutely. Just the normal KYC process, and we bring it across. It may even be just moved across the floor from the vault you're in. Well, we won't even ask you where that is. It may just mean transferring it to our vault.
Right.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I don't want to be like that attorney who stands on stage and say, "Where are you hiding your gold? At my house." It's as you know, it's one of the biggest problems with gold and silver, especially silver. You want to rob a bank when you're going for silver is heavy. Those green boxes, oh my God!
Yeah,
you can't run very far with a box of green silver.
I know. I mean, the average person. I mean, I don't know if you've ever picked a 1,000-ounce silver bar up, but by crikey, I did it in front of a camera, and I was thinking, holy smoke, what have I attempted to do here? Very, very. But then you realize it's real. This is, as you say, this is the only thing that matters. All the energy that ever went into that bar is there. And that's the beauty of it. It cannot be depreciated. And why the hell do I want to pay storage fees to take a piece off each month? I don't want to do that. I want to build it.
Well, you guys have changed the game. I mean, it's what Kinesis is doing. I mean, it's brilliant. I applaud you guys. Anybody who's listening to this, you got to do your own due diligence and check out Kinesis and Andy and myself. But I'm not recommending it. I'm just a pure educator. I tell people what I do, but I don't tell people what to do. So I'm pretty optimistic about Kinesis right now, but I still have to go and test the system. So I'm glad you guys are doing what you do. But
we'd encourage you, just test it. Just test the system. And that's what happens, is that somebody starts by just saying, okay, let's test it. You may even want to demand delivery of it. Now, obviously, there's a Loomis fee or a Brinks fee to physically safely deliver it to your house. So obviously, you don't want to take too small an amount. So, but yeah, you test it. And that's what everyone does. They test it. And it's seamless. It's working. I'm seeing that I'm not getting charged my fees. And hang on, it pops up about the beginning of every month. You get you see your various yields that have come in to your account, and suddenly you're hey, hang on, I didn't have that much gold yesterday. Now it's up here, but you can track it in live time. So it almost, if you were a gamer, you could actually probably say, well, look, here's my gold rising in price. So it's one of those things. It's become attractive for multiple kinds of people, younger people, older people. Kinesis sponsored a polo match last year. And what we did was bury some 4 gold corks on the field. And then everyone running, how you do the treading, and you have to come in and tread all the divots down. And then these four, we exchanged these 4 gold corks for gold on the blockchain. Suddenly these guys are going, wow, my goodness, this is incredible. And it's the young people that love it too. It's the younger people. They just, why would I don't want to go to the bank and, and pull my cash out the bank machine or whatever. And I think, it's important to make sure that banks do still accept cash, because that's a dangerous thing if CBDCs come into play. But essentially, you've got full control of this, as you say. You buy it, you own it, you do what you will with it.
Yeah. I've had some really, really great, like the Jerry Williams out here of American Precious Metals, and Jim Clark, Republic Monetary, and then Andy and I became Andy Scheckman, good friends. So I buy from them. But this is the thing. I was a kid, I had no money, right? And like I said, I held up the first quarter, and I go, why is this thing copper? Why is it copper? And that was Gresham's law. And I knew I was being screwed.
Yeah.
I didn't know how, didn't know why, but that kind of set my whole thing up. And ever since then, that's why in Rich Dad Poor Dad, I said, I don't save money. I save gold and silver and today Bitcoin. And Bitcoin answers a lot of the problems, because this is what I'm trying to say. When I had no money, 1 gold coin felt like a lot, and 1 silver dollar felt like a lot. But it gets pretty bad when you're driving around. I live in Phoenix. It gets pretty bad when you're driving around with a little hand dolly in the back of your car to load the boxes on. So when I started buying green boxes of silver and gold and all this stuff, I said, I must be rich, but I didn't know I was rich. I just kept saving gold and silver. But my friend laughed at me and he says, you must be a rich man. You got to carry a hand cart just to move your gold and silver around. Do you know what I mean? I never spent it. I still have the first gold coin. It was a Krugerrand. I bought it in Hong Kong. I still have it. It's in Liechtenstein someplace. But I didn't lose any money. I think I paid $50 for that gold Krugerrand, and today it's worth about $2,200. So the Krugerrand stayed the same size, but the dollar went down that far. And as most gold bugs know, our debt to GDP is now 135% nonstop. They can't stop it. So it's getting ridiculous. So I would like to ask people to look into it. You got your own due diligence with Kinesis, but I think you guys have changed the rules of the game. That's what you've done.
I'm certain of it. I wouldn't have put my name to it had I not been sure of it. I spent years fighting the manipulators. It was mostly my evidence that jailed these JP Morgan guys. And we gave them 88 examples in the past of manipulation worked with the CFTC to bring these charges. And it took 10 years. I mean, goodness me. I mean, again, coming out of the DOJ, I kind of knew nothing would happen for a long time, but it took 10 more years after that, or close to 10 years, before they started actually charging HSBC, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, all these guys that we had literally given them evidence on that here's where the price is going to be. 88 examples. Here's where the price will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Here's where the price of silver will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. 88 examples of that. And to the penny. And then it would bounce and it would come back up. And it's like, because this was shared information that we happened to tap into. And rather than, Robert, if I wanted to be a multi-trillionaire, I'd have just traded that. But it was wrong. It's wrong. And I think that this is, life is more important to do things, do the correct thing. And I wanted my kids to if they wanted to come into this marketplace, to have a fair level playing field. And so this is why basically I just blew the whistle on them. And of course, then I wasn't able to trade it because it would have been insider trading. So, but it took that many years, but we did succeed in the end. Now, obviously, there's still manipulation going on. Silver is still very much manipulated, but gold, a little more difficult for them to do that now that we have Basel III legislation in where every liquidity provider it's supplying the 10 times larger foreign exchange markets has to be physically backed. That means that if I play games on the COMEX and I discount the price and it sets the price in London in the FX markets, China can jump on that and take physical delivery. So I'm now draining open interest. I'm draining the liquidity out of the paper market. That's where they went wrong. That's the Fed's problem. It's their Achilles heel is the fact that you can do what's called an exchange for physical. So it's a little mechanism at the COMEX where you can exchange their paper position for a position in the FX markets. The trouble is, whereas both used to be unallocated, on the 1st of January 2023, this side had to be physically backed. Therefore, you drain something out of that into this. Now you've just drained a 97% of leveraged item and forced it to be financed, fully funded. And now it's deliverable on a T+2 basis, meaning China buys it, someone buys it, I can buy it, and in 2 days, I can demand delivery. That is changed that game. So I think the Fed is on a slippery slope here. Every other central bank is happy for this recent price rise because what it's done is bolster. Everyone has about a 4% rough gold backing versus their GDP, which assists in their currency valuations. And they were quite happy that the price suddenly went up $400 because didn't have to tap into their gold revaluation accounts to actually revalue gold at market, which is still an option they have. When the BRICS comes through full bore and suddenly you realize that oil is going to cost you $200 or more, then maybe you need to revalue your gold in Europe, in the various banks in Europe and Asia to market. And it's just a question of you simply sell it, whatever it's valued at, $700, $800. In the Fed's instance, $42. You simply sell it and immediately buy it back at market. And then you just revalued gold. And you've resolved so many of these issues. And it just strikes me as such, we will be looking back in the rearview mirror at this, Robert. And I think I feel so privileged to be a part of the solutions, and you as being a part of you've been an inspiration for me. Where did I find out what was a liquid and a liquid acid. Where did I find all this stuff out? Probably 25 years ago. I think I remember buying the first books. And it's like, that's where it came from to me. Well, hang on a minute. Yeah, that makes sense. Why am I going to be gaslighted into thinking I should be following this track or following my parents' bad choices or whatever it might have been? And I wish I was a fly on the wall when you went to that bank and you got those quarters and you started shuffling them out, I don't want this one, only this one, give me more. And I just wish I was a fly on the wall when you did that, because they must have thought, this guy's crazy. They probably thought you were crazy.
Yep. And that's why, what I came to the conclusion is the reason poor people are poor is they don't know what money is. They work hard for it. They pay taxes on it, and inflation kills them. And so that's why what Michael Saylor is saying, he says that what do you call a person who saves fake money? Poor. But this is the other thing that's happening. My biggest concern is the gap between rich and poor. That's why I wrote my book and all this stuff. But as you know, I'll say it to your audience, the Fed has got to start, or the Fed and the Treasury and Wall Street have to keep printing more money, because the debt to GDP ratio just is at 130. Technically, we're bankrupt. Technically, we're in depression. Japan's been in bankruptcy for years and depression, but they just keep printing money. And so I think the money printing in the U.S. has yet to start. And so that's why if you're saving dollars, U.S. dollars or euro or yen or pesos, you're getting killed. You're going to get killed. And all they're going to do is print more money, because that's all they know how to do. So I for years, I strongly said to people, buy some gold, buy some silver. But we're talking about before we came on the air, you may as well beat your head against a wall. I mean, people are so enamored with fake money, they can't stand it. So my saying is, and I'll let you go with this one, don't teach pigs to sing. It wastes your time. It annoys the pig. And, so, and I'm honored to be part of this group here. And congratulations on all your success, live from the vault.
And it's so nice to have someone of your pedigree and background and experience. And I mean, basically, when we speak to you, we're speaking to so many years of an algorithm that's in your mind, and when you say something, it is correct because it's backed up by so many things. You're not fooled. The younger person might think, oh, I'll follow that. That sounds like a great idea. Yes, we've all done that in our lives, and then we've learned lessons. And I think this is the important thing. You have that algorithm. You're a sage, an oracle in many ways. And of course, that's what we see you as. And I think we take it seriously. And I think what people must do is play it twice and listen to what you're saying, the detail of what you're saying. The implications are enormous. And I think really do you know what? I've ended, it's ever since you came on the last time, every single show, I have ended every single show with what you said, which is, yes, but how much physical do you have?
That's right.
Which is every single show after that I've done. It's just because it's the only question.
Yeah. So I applaud your ability to teach, because what we are teachers. Primarily, that's what we do. So I'll finish with the last story of one of my best teachers was I was flying off a carrier in Vietnam. And the North Vietnamese had come south. They were kicking our asses. And so I got a letter from my rich dad on the carrier by snail mail. I mean, it probably took 2 months to get to me. And it says, watch out. Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. It was August 15th, 1971. And this is probably about January 72. And so I'm reading this letter, and it says, be careful, the world's going to change. And what Kinesis has done right now is change the world again. But he says, be careful. I said, well, what is gold? I didn't know because it was illegal for Americans to own gold. So here's the NVA running south, and being a Marines, we're not the brightest guys on earth. So my co-pilot and I said, let's go find a gold mine. And the only one problem was the NVA. The NVA had overrun it. So the only gold mine near our ship was in enemy hands. So Marines, not being the brightest, says, well, let's get in and get out real fast, So we flew in. We circled, there's I still remember the big bamboo patch where the gold mine was. I set the helicopter down, and my co-pilot and I would leave the crew chief with the aircraft to guard it. We drop all of our weapons, and we put our hands up and we walk in through the villages, and all the little Vietnamese they're selling their chickens and ducks and all this stuff and veggies, I said, what the fuck are you guys doing here? You guys are Americans. I said, yeah, no. Today we're capitalists. We come to buy gold. And they're going, you guys are crazy. So we finally find the gold dealers, a little tiny Vietnamese woman. I never forget her. Her teeth were bright red because they chewed betel nuts. And she was the salesperson for the mine. And so my co-pilot and I walk up there, and gold used to be 35. It was now 50 on that day. And she was selling gold for 50 something. And I said, no, I'm not going to pay you 50. Because my idea was, you're behind enemy lines, stupid. Can't you see that? You're trapped. And she goes, I said, I'll give you $40 for it. A $10 discount. She looks at me, bright red teeth, goes, spot. So what? So I got a spot on my shirt or something. So I offered her 40. She goes, spot. I go, what's she saying? So I don't know. And my co-pilot look over and he goes, oh, that's the price of gold today all over the world. The price behind enemy lines was the same. And she turned out to be one of the best teachers I've ever had, because I found out what money is. It's gold or silver, and anyway, we got back to the aircraft safe and sound, but I never forgot her. She knew what real money was, and I didn't, even though I went to college. Anyway, so that's why what we do, we're that little Vietnamese woman. We don't have red teeth, but we're educating. We're educating.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do now to the miners, is say, here's the spot price. There, you can see the spot price yourself. You choose where you want to sell it to. Why would you deliver it to this guy at $600 or he's taking half of it? Why would you do that? So it's an evolution. It's an evolution. It's not solved overnight, but we're on the process. And I think that I love that story. And it also took balls to go there and do that. And you have to be pretty bright to be able to box your way in and out of something like that in enemy lines. But I hope you kept some of that gold, that particular gold that you got from that mine.
No, the education began then, you know what I mean? So then I got back to the carrier, and the guys who were smartest says, it's illegal for Americans to own gold. This was 72. I went, why would it be illegal? Did it make sense? But that's when my education really began. This little tiny Vietnamese woman with red betel nut teeth going, spot. And the price of gold and silver is the same all over the world. So thank you, Andrew, and good luck with you on Kinesis.
Thank you. Bless you. Thank you so much, Robert. It's been such a buzz, and hope to stay in touch. And obviously, if there's anything you need from me or us or whatever, just stay in touch, and we'll help you with anything you want to take care of.
Well, you do vicariously anyway, because I listen to you all the time. So I can stay up to date. So congratulations. Keep teaching.
And me, likewise, me with you. And that's where I get my energy from. So thank you, Robert. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Andrew Maguire and Robert Kiyosaki, for another extraordinary discussion. And remember, to our Life in the Vault community, buy physical, make sure it's backed 1-to-1, and understand the difference between what Andy and also Robert call the casino paper and gold silver markets and the actual physical gold and silver markets. They're not the same. Don't be fooled by physical. And there you have it. That's all we have for you today on another amazing episode of Live from the Vault. And please help keep spreading the word about this channel. If you like the information, just hit that like button right now. It's easy to do. It really helps the channel. And make sure you share this information and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you click on that black bell right there, we'll notify you as each episode goes live so you don't miss a thing. And with that, we'll see you next time right here on Live from the Vault. See you then.